Zelda games came out this year. This is the good one. Cadence of Hyrule is excellent, and even though this game came out in June, I wanted to do a video on it because it might end up on several Game of the Year lists. And this is definitely one of the best games of 2019. I had previously done a video on Cadence in Spanish, so if you speak Spanish, you might want to check that out. I've also done a video on Link's Awakening that has some profanity, so I'll link that as well, and as always, please subscribe if you like the video. When this came out, I almost gave it a hard pass due to one reason. Crypt of the Necrodancer featuring The Legend of Zelda. I really don't like Crypt of the Necrodancer. I don't like roguelikes in general, but I find Crypt to be particularly annoying because I like the concept of playing to the music, but I find it too hard and too random for me to enjoy. Cadence of Hyrule shares none of these issues, and that makes it a much better game in my opinion. There's more Zelda than Necrodancer in this game. The world is structured with randomized tiles, so each game is different, but there is a logic to how each type of tile is placed. For example, the castle is always near the middle, while regions such as Gerudo Desert and Kakariko Village are near the outskirts of the map. When you die, you lose some, but not all your equipment. So you do lose stuff like gemstones, keys, and some items like your shovel, which is used to dig through some walls, or your torch, which allows you to see further in dungeons. But these are very easy to recover. You don't lose stuff like your weapons and key items like the hookshot or the power gloves, so dying isn't really that punishing. In terms of gameplay, this is pretty similar to a classic 2D Zelda, but with the added difference that everything revolves around the music. Both the enemies and your character can move or act to the beat of the song that's playing, and this is such a key component to the gameplay that when you fire up the game for the first time, you have to calibrate the screen latency to ensure everything feels right when you play. And you should actually recalibrate this each time you switch between portable and dock mode, which is kind of a hassle, but it really only takes maybe a minute or so. The whole moving and attacking to the rhythm might be off-putting to some, but trust me when I say that it's really fun and you never really feel like you don't have time to think about your next move. It can be a bit hard at the start, but this is by no means a hard game. I died maybe 4 times in the first few hours and then went on to beat the game without ever dying again. Once you get the bow and arrow and a good sword, the game gets pretty easy, but it is never boring. You can play as either Link or Zelda. Link plays as you'd expect, while Zelda has some magic skills such as a shield that can reflect attacks if timed correctly, but it's actually pretty hard to do since you have to really have a grasp on how each enemy attacks, since it consumes a stamina bar, meaning you can run out of it if you're not careful. She also has access to a magic attack that you can guide to damage enemies remotely, but she is definitely harder to use than Link. I definitely recommend that you use Link in your first run and then maybe use Zelda if you want to make the game a bit harder at the start. The starting position of each is also very different, and Link is definitely easier in that regard as well. Both the art and the music of the game are off the charts. The music is so good that I even have it set as my ringtone. I almost feel like watching gameplay and listening closely to the music should give you guys enough reasons to buy the game. It's a perfect blend of some classic Zelda songs with some tunes from Necrodancer. Each zone has a different song, which is actually 3 songs depending on whether there are enemies or not on screen and whether the game is paused or not. The way the music transitions between the 3 variations of each song is absolutely seamless. It's a very subtle touch that goes to show how expertly crafted this game really is. There's a good variety of enemies, dungeons, weapons and items, though some weapons are so good that once you find them, you'll pretty much use them for the rest of the game, since most of the new weapons you find are pretty much straight downgrades. Some people might be turned off by the fact that many items have durability and will occasionally break, and since some of these are needed to complete optional puzzles in the game, it can be pretty annoying when the item you need right now broke a couple of screens ago. There are shops where you can buy items, but there is no sure way to always get the item you need. The other issue I have with the game is that there is a lot of verticality in the game, and sometimes it's really hard to tell if something is 1 or actually 2 steps above you, but these are minor issues. Exploring the world of Cadence of Hyrule is simply a joy. Each screen provides you with enemies to defeat, secrets to uncover, and items to collect. Each zone has its own set of enemies and its own style, and since each time you play the game, the map is randomized, there are plenty of reasons to keep playing it after you've beaten it. Beating the game will take around 5 to 6 hours each time, and this is a $25 game, so it's not exactly cheap, but Link's Awakening is $60 and this is a much better game. The other drawback to this game is that you really have to be listening to the music to play it, so it's not that great if you're looking for something to play while commuting or somewhere where you can't either wear headphones or use the speakers. If you've skipped on this game because you think it's not really a Zelda game, or because you don't like the fact that it's a rhythm game, you should definitely reconsider. This is an incredible game that I think didn't really get the recognition it deserves, and you should definitely try it out if you want a Zelda style game. Okay, that will be all for now. Please remember to subscribe if you liked the video. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.